In the town of Sahuarita at Walden Grove High, before the first bell rings in the start of the school day, the sound of metal on metal signals that the players on the school's football team are already putting in work. Leading this pack of Red Wolves is coach and history teacher Corey Noble.
Right now, we're just off season, and our primary and probably even our secondary focus is all in weightlifting. It's one of the things that we really missed the most from this last year, not having really, anything after spring break.
Every lift, pass,
drive your eyes to the route,
and play.
Good job, Gabe.
An exercise in establishing a new normal. The pandemic started upending long-standing traditions in March of last year, when Noble was entering his fourth season as head coach.
We were just starting to kind of figure out about COVID and this pandemic. I remember thinking and, telling my coaches things like, hey guys, I think we're going to be probably taking a couple weeks off of workouts. Who would have known, that it'd be a year? I would have never even imagined saying something like that.
Like most schools across Arizona, Walden High transitioned to virtual learning and put sports on pause. For Noble and his team, that meant suspending practice through the summer and canceling an annual trip to California, a scaling back that weighed heavily on players like juniors Jason Stevens and Ronnie Berg.
It was heartbreaking, especially because right before that, we had track get canceled and everything kind of just started tumbling.
Are we even going to get a game? Because it was still up in the air. Our season might be canceled, and all the practicing we did was for just no season to show for it.
June came, nothing. July came, nothing. We were doing online meetings, like Zoom meetings, going over stuff so that we'd be ready for when we had a football season. As it got later and later into the summer, I'll be honest, we stopped talking about when we have a football season and started becoming there for a while, late summer, early August, if we have a football season.
As weeks turned to months, COVID continued to spread in Arizona, and the potential for the team's football season remained uncertain. Its roster, which normally boasts between 115 and 120 players, also shrank to 85.
The motivation factor for some of them just went out. And then, obviously the concerns and the dangers over, playing a contact sport in this time, with COVID.
If we're going to do it through this, you just got to love it. Because a lot of people fell off, a lot of people didn't work. But a lot of our guys, we just stayed through it because we knew if we were going to have a season, we were going to do everything we could to be the best out there.
Go get that, Joe.
When it came time to regroup in the fall, the team adapted by adding more practices to accommodate 10 players at a time.
Here for 9 hours a day doing football workouts in the hope that we were going to be able to do something.
The school also began requiring weekly rapid tests for all student athletes.
Every Monday that they've been in school, they've been getting COVID tested. And we've had some isolated incidents, but it hasn't been a thing where a whole position group's out or anything like that. So, I think the big takeaway for us, was football's not spreading this.
But in a game where success is measured in yards gained and passes caught, the pandemic's implications dealt setbacks and missed opportunities.
Definitely been the toughest recruiting cycle that I've been a part of as a head coach, in terms of just the lower number of opportunities for players, from both the high school perspective, from a high school level of, less off-season exposure, less in-season exposure, less coaches being able to come out to practice and see us actually practice, see the kids interact with the kids. It's been a recruiting dead period for a long time at this point. Colleges allowing college players to have an extra year of eligibility for the season that some of them missed, which, hey, it's great for them, but on the back end of that, the repercussions, that's fewer roster spots, scholarships for incoming freshmen to go into college. I think we've got 4 kids that signed to go play next year. I honestly think had it been a normal year, I think we would have probably had 7 guys go sign.
A season normally comprises 10 games with a chance to play for a championship. The team played 4. As community spread of COVID fluctuated, often exceeding benchmarks set by the state, canceled games became common. Noble says being in Pima County also presented disadvantages compared to schools elsewhere in the state.
It's incredibly unfortunate that the vast majority of the schools in the Phoenix metro area, the vast majority of the schools played a full season. And those boys got a full season of opportunities. And I think, that it's like, how do I tell my kids because of where we're at, we're not going to have those same opportunities for our kids. We've had close, firsthand knowledge of how awful this thing can be, in our program. We've had some parents, some players lose people in their families and things from it. So it's certainly not something that we're taking lightly. But I've had a lot of students and players that are traditionally A students, A and B students, that have said, I've never struggled more with school.
1 year later, the pandemic has not loosened its grip on the globe. But as more people gain access to the vaccine, the rules have changed in places like Pima County. That's evident with the team's gradual return to the field.
It just feels good to be out here early because last time this year things were crazy and hectic. So, man, it feels good to be out early and working, especially with all these guys. Just exciting, it just makes me crave this season just because there's so much in store for this team. So every throw I get, I'm just so excited, proud.
It may not be normal, what we would call normal 2 seasons ago, but I think it'll be a full season. Obviously we got to see how everything plays out, and we've got to, keep doing our part.
We're getting ready. We're getting ready to play our butts off because this season, we're going to get better, stronger, we're going to grind more, and we're going to be the most disciplined and most aggressive team out there because we're going to put in the work, and this school is going to get us to the playoffs, hopefully, and win games, and maybe it's state championship.